Hi, nice to meet you guys. Thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be here in the first episode, I guess, of Game Raven Reviews. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yes, thank you. And again, I'm really happy to have you be our very first guest here. So,
Yeah.
introduce yourself. Who are you? Who is Verinius?
All right. Hi, I'm Verinius. I'm 27 years old. I'm from the Philippines. I'm actually game development is my hobby, so I'm doing this in my spare time.
Yeah.
In my day job, I work as a human rights lawyer here in the Philippines. But
That's
I have
amazing.
thank you, and I have um, a flexible work schedule, so I can work from home, and I can determine my schedule as long as I hit my deliverables. And in my free time, compared to other lawyers here, like they're super busy, but for me, I don't have to be in an office job at 8 to 5, so I work on this in my free time. I've been working on Lawmage Academy for like 2 years now.
Wow.
The first
Yeah.
year was just so I have no background on game development, like zero background on coding. Even
Yeah.
I don't know how to code today. I still don't know how. Zero background on art and music and game design, video game theory, and I had to learn all of that from scratch back in 2018. And
Yeah.
2019, I released my first demo on itch, and it was well received. And 2019 was trying to learn pixel art and investing in the art into what it is, and until it turned out into what it is now that you see. So it's just a
Wow.
personal journey of self discovery and self improvement.
Yeah. I mean, from the time that I spent playing your game, I would have never guessed that you didn't have any experience. I
Oh,
really wouldn't
thank you.
have. I really wouldn't have. Like, everything about the game is beautiful. Like, it flows really well. Everything is just like really detrimental things like having conversations flow correctly and all of that has been phenomenal. Like, I'm so excited to play the actual full version of this game. Um
I
so
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
would you like to give us a little insight about like how this game came about?
When I was still in law school, which was like 2014 to 2017, I was a philosophy major back in college, and law school here in the Philippines is a postgraduate course. So when I was still in law school, I realized how you're when you know the law, it actually gives you power. Like
Does.
if you know the law, you know what to do with your mortgage, you know how loans work, you
Yeah.
know what the benefits of marriage and how to terminate marriages or how to get annulments, because we don't have a divorce law here, which is
Oh,
which
thank
sucks.
goodness.
So for us, it's called annulment or sometimes termination of marriage. You know these stuff, but what I've observed is that for the less privileged people, the less fortunate people, they have no idea sometimes what to do, and when you don't know what to do, you're afraid. You know, we fear the unknown. We fear what we don't know. But if you know the law and you know your rights, you actually are less afraid and you are more empowered. And so that gave me the concept for the law as magic, the law as power. And so Lawmage Academy was sort of as well my experience in law school, all the traumatic stuff that happens. You know, you see
Yeah.
those TV series about lawyers and law school. Those are pretty much accurate, a little bit exaggerated sometimes, but more or less that's what we go through. Um,
Yeah.
but that and think about a magic school like Harry Potter and with Persona 4 game mechanics, um, and Manakimia, you know, the favorite video games. I love turn-based RPGs. So to blend all of that together and put in a little advocacy, a little thought-provoking insights, some philosophies there, and some thinking about due process, rule of law in a way that is fun and exciting and mysterious. And you know, when you're making a game, you have to keep the attention of the players. So that was also challenging. You have writing for a novel is very very different from writing for a game because there's so many things to consider when you're writing a game.
Yes.
So I
Yes,
had to take that
definitely.
into consideration as well, right? So and that's how it came about. I mean, one day RPG Maker went for free in 2018 for about 1 week, and I tried it out.
I
I
wish
had
I would
fun.
have cashed in on that. That would have been
Yeah.
amazing. Like, I wish I would have seen it. That's a great.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, it went just a limited time. You have to buy it
Yeah.
after the
Yeah.
promotional period. So I had fun. I purchased it, and then I told myself, with having zero background knowledge on everything, I told myself, I'm gonna work on this for 1 year, and let's just see if I can learn. Can I learn something? Can I learn a skill that I have zero background knowledge on? And all I'm gonna do is be committed to it and study it. Because a lot of people, like, when we fail at something, we think that I'm just not cut out for this kind of thing. Maybe I'm just really not good at math. Maybe I'm just really not good in science. Maybe I'm just good in sports. But I wanted to challenge that kind of thinking with myself and challenge myself to stick with this for 1 year and see where it gets me. Can I really learn this? Having zero background knowledge and everything.
It's
And I
very
proved it to myself,
inspiring.
right?
Very
And
inspiring.
that's what I wanted to. Part of the message is that letting people know that if you just put in the time and effort and be patient with yourself, you can do game development. You can learn any skill that you want to learn, whether it's through music, whether it's a subject in class, as long as you give yourself patience. It's
Gorgeous.
not, not give up. Have a growth mindset.
Yeah.
That's very
So that's
cool.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. You said that you had no background in like music or art or games. What the heck inspired you? Like, what made you think, oh, I want to make a game? Like, how did you get there?
Really, just that free weekend trial with RPG Maker MV, and I tried it out, and it was so easy, and it was
Yeah.
so fun, and
It is.
it already had some built-in assets. Like, you don't have to worry about art; they already had some assets, some music, a lot of sound effects, so you don't have to worry about it. Though you can buy some sound effects, sound packs, music packs, graphic packs,
Yeah.
so you don't have to do it at least. So I invested a little bit on those later on, and so I could just focus on making the game instead of making the engine, making the systems around it. And it was just really fun. I had fun. I
It's
had so
so
much fun,
fun.
and when I let my friends test it, at first, of course, when you're new to something, you're gonna suck, and you have to accept that you're gonna suck. First
Yes.
draft sucked.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right? The first draft sucked, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad, but it's not as good as I wanted it to be based on player feedback. So I reiterated, I revised some stuff, kept going, and I had nothing else better to do,
Mm,
I guess. So I just worked at it, and
feel
it's nice
that.
how I can work from my laptop. RPG Maker isn't a very demanding software, so I'm using a MacBook Air 2015, very old laptop. I don't
That's
have a
great to
desktop,
know.
Oh.
right? You don't need fancy equipment to make a game. Depends on the kind of game you're making. But for
Yeah.
me, I mean, I've been working in this game on a crappy 2015 MacBook Air, no excuses, and I just committed to it. I played my cards. I did what I could do given my resources, and I got this far. Right? I got this far, and
You
I'm
got
pretty
really
happy about
far.
it.
Yeah.
You got really, really, really far. Like, it's so
Thank you for the
good.
kind words. Thank
Yeah.
you for the kind words.
Yeah.
But that's how it started. That's how I decided to work on the game and committed to it
Yeah.
for 1 year.
So,
And actually,
my next question about that would be like what your favorite elements of the game are. I noticed that there is a lot that has gone into this. There's a lot of thought, there's a lot of choices, there's a lot of anything. What do you think is your favorite element that you placed
right,
into this game?
it would have to be the very first part when you
Yeah.
take a quiz,
Yeah.
because that sums up how the choices mechanics work.
You were hyping
Um,
that last night for me. You were like, please make sure you answer honestly. And I thought that that was
right.
so great. So it's great to
Uh,
hear you say that.
Thank you. Okay, so here's the thing with games and choices. So we tend to think that, especially for games with bigger budgets, if you make a choice, it takes you on a completely different storyline.
It's
The challenge
true.
with that is production budget. Like, you can't possibly exhaust every single choice and have a separate storyline for everything.
Yeah.
So the workaround is to have a story that makes little changes in your choices and characters acknowledging. For example, if you chose this, um, the character will reference that later on in the game. So it didn't really change the main plot um,
It should be
drastically.
subtle. It should be subtle.
Yeah, subtle changes, or maybe you can take this path instead of this path, and there will be a little bit of changes in the level in the dialogue, but you
Yeah.
still end up. It all merges into the one bigger path in the end,
Yeah.
and then it branches out again and it merges again. So that's my favorite element in the game because every playthrough is a
Yeah.
little bit different. You can end up in a different house, and your choices in the beginning quiz, it actually determines your starting stats. It determines your starting spells. So in your playthrough, Emerald, I think you had a lightning spell. I
Yes.
think it was a lightning spell,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
We all
but
agreed.
right. And if you chose differently, you could have ended up with a water spell or a
Yeah.
fire spell
Yeah.
in the beginning, and that's gonna affect your options in the
Okay.
levels.
Amazing.
So that's my favorite part because every time I watch a stream, there's always something new to look out for, something new to look forward to. So it's
Yeah.
also fun for me when I watch people play it.
Yeah, I was so excited that you were there with us last night because I know that I let my chat make a lot of choices, but I still feel like the choices that we made were very unique. And it's amazing because I don't know where we would have ended up if it was somebody else playing it.
Right. And I think it shows a healing spell,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
And then you chose a
I got the Volt, the Thunder
yeah,
spell, and then I got the healing. Yep.
the healing spell, and then we chose the mana potions because you already had a healing spell.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
right, and
It was so good.
go right. And for other players, they could have chosen very, very differently. They could have went for the healing potions and just went for damaging spells all around, So, and that would give them a different kind of play style
Yeah.
and approaching problems.
Oh, 100%. It would have been different. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm really excited to
Right.
actually go through the demo on my own when I don't have a time
Yeah,
limit
yeah.
and get like a little bit farther with it when everyone's not telling me to just go outside.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to cause some trouble.
I
and
just
see what
want to do trouble.
So,
But yeah,
go ahead.
no, I mean, like, feel free to play it in your own time. It's meant to be played on your
No,
own.
I will.
Not rushing to it.
No, I'm definitely going to. Don't worry. Don't question it. Like, I'm going to play this a lot more.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
We also loved the music in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the composer and what inspired you? Like, what is the inspiration behind the music?
So in the beginning, I used some stock music from RPG Maker, and then I invested in some music packs. And the reason is that music packs are very cheap for the price. You get a pack of like 10 tracks.
Yeah.
And I bought it for about $5.
No.
When if you commission $5 in Philippines, I guess the pricing is different if you're buying from the US.
It is.
But
It's very different.
Okay, cool. But if you're commissioning a original music soundtrack, that would take about $150, $100, just for one track, and that's really cheap. That's super cheap. But $5 for 10 tracks, that's a huge thing for me. But later on, once I got some more donations from the community, they started donating through Itch, and I was able to, and I saved up money, and I was able to meet some, every now and then people would message me in Twitter and offer their services, and some composers actually offered free tracks. And I couldn't believe it because you're gonna offer me free services and this is the kind of quality and it's so good. So I said yes to it, and then the ones I really liked, I commissioned them for more tracks.
Yeah.
And the process that goes into it is that I tell them the emotions that I want to evoke. And I go to YouTube, and I'm a huge fan of music theory. I'm not very good at it, but I do know a little bit of music theory, and the notes that make you happy, the notes that make you sad and anxious. So I kind of have an idea what I want when I talk to the composers. And they still have the creative freedom, but when I give feedback, I tell them, okay, this needs to be faster. This needs more notes because I want people to feel this way. And
Yeah, I
so
mean,
we
I know that Em and I talked about it last night when I was streaming, but I felt that all of the music that you put into your game was very compelling. It was very involving. It made me feel like I was in the game. It made me feel like
mm,
I was a part of where I was rather than
nice.
like other games that, it doesn't fit quite as well. And
Right.
so it makes
Right.
you, it doesn't get that, it doesn't evoke that same feeling. So
Right.
that's definitely something that I appreciated about your game is just that whenever there was music playing, I felt it. And there were even these parts where like somebody would be talking and then the music would stop.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so you knew that that part was very important to the storyline because the music had stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is just phenomenal. Like it was
Very.
just so good.
And it's interesting how you brought it up. So two things, right? First, for developers, if you're going to use music packs like me, you would know that these tracks have titles. So, for example, this track would be called horror music, or this track is people getting in trouble. But if you listen to it, it doesn't necessarily correspond. Yeah, getting in trouble. But when you listen to the music, when I listened to it, I thought this could actually work for a class. This doesn't sound like a dungeon theme. This actually
Yeah.
sounds like spending time with friends or people plotting together.
Yeah.
So the
Mm-hmm.
title doesn't necessarily, you don't have to necessarily use it based on what the title says. So you have to listen to it. And then when the part about silence, actually silence is in a way part of music. It's a
Yes.
negative equally as important as notes. It wouldn't be good if you had music playing nonstop, changing
Mhm.
tracks. You need silence to build tension. You need silence to build um, a sense of seriousness,
Yeah.
and it just suddenly shifts the mood from a cheery, happy scene. Even when you look at movies, it's happy in right now, and then in 3 seconds it becomes scary
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because silence kicks in, and then there's this subtle music that plays, and the character's voice changes in tone. And
Yeah.
I try to learn from these things as well from other sorts of media and try to emulate that in the game.
Definitely. I mean, Emily and I, we only do trouble, so.
Yes.
If you played further, actually, you could have done a lot more things. You could have robbed somebody.
Oh, we
You could have
will. We
threatened
will. We will. We
somebody.
will. We will. I'm not done with my demo. Like, I'm not done
Right, right.
streaming the demo. That's just as far as I got. I'm gonna play it the whole
Oh,
way through
cool,
for
cool.
you, for sure. I will actually send you the details of that
Oh, awesome,
so
awesome.
that you
Looking
can be
forward to
there. Yeah.
Yes. Watch us get in trouble.
I would love to get in
it.
trouble.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I actually have a music background, so I actually went to college for music, and so when I hear you say that you started with emotion, conveying what emotion you want,
Yeah.
like, oh, I love that so much because it does it you can tell in the game, like the emotion of the music really fits what's going on, and you can tell that you really did start there, which, I mean, I'm floored. You seem to be very much like a jack of all trades. Like you're very aware of
Yeah, exactly.
Very intuitive.
very intuitive of like every element of game making, and that's just beautiful.
I'm
And
not an expert in any one.
but that
You don't
that's
have to be.
no.
You don't have to
Right,
be at
right.
all.
Yes, and you're
Right.
you're totally like it's such an inspiration too. Like when you're a creative person, you're a creative
Mhm.
person. It
Exactly.
doesn't matter if you have training in this or that, or you have natural talent
Yeah,
here and there. If you're
very true.
creative, it's gonna come out in some way, and that's what I love about indie games, and especially like solo developed games, is like you're using your resources that you have and whatever is available to you, and you're just letting your creativity flow through
Yeah,
that. And we see that so much in this game. It's
Yeah.
that's
it's
true.
amazing.
I mean, and there's a lot of quality there too.
Yes.
Like it's very quality. It's very pronounced. It's very on point, which is something that I really appreciate because I'm an English literature major, and
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm like judging stuff like that constantly, and it was just so beautiful. Like all of the words that you used just like brought me into it so much, and I mean, I just appreciate it a lot.
Interesting. Thank you so much for for those kind
Yeah,
words.
I
And
mean,
actually,
especially as somebody who's not like from America,
yeah, I'm from the Philippines.
it was very impressive.
Yeah, very, very well done.
Very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And interesting puppet that you mentioned about you being having a musical background. And actually, um, I don't have a formal musical training, though I did sing in the choir back in law school as a part-time, I think as a hobby. And then because of the people I met there, they introduced me to Jacob Collier. Now, I don't know if any of our listeners know Jacob Collier. He's a jazz musician. And I learned about harmony from him, the meaning of harmony, and some, and then I went through the circle of fifths. I'm not very good at it, but I familiarized myself with it.
Yeah.
And what I learned from him is that music is a language, and
Absolutely.
composing is really just, making sentences out of notes.
Yes.
But
Yes.
still, as a composer, you have to know what you want to say.
Yeah.
You don't just make good music. You also
Yeah.
a good composer knows what they want to say, and they convey it through these notes, making these sentences,
Yeah.
just like any other language. And that when I realized that, that's when I really internalized how music in games can really set up the mood. Not just aside from the
Oh
visuals,
yeah,
aside from the
100%.
effects
Yes.
and the sound design, and oof, when I realized that, now I know what to do.
Yeah.
Now I know how to go about it.
That's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
you've done an incredible job of setting the mood. I feel like every single second that I was playing, I knew exactly how I was supposed to feel.
Yeah. And that's incredible. And even beyond the music, like, I'm fascinated by music and how it can set up the mood, but even the subtleties of sound design and the
Right.
small, like, I remember when, you were playing last night, there was a door. There's like a door sound.
Oh yeah.
And I totally thought that somebody had opened and closed a door.
In my house.
Oh, right.
And I'm not used to that. Like in small RPGs like that, like it was such a realistic sound, and just the way that it flowed, like the transition, the visuals, and how it lined up with the sound design. It was amazing.
It was great.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Right. Those are little things, right? Little
Yeah.
things that some developers might not think about, or some players might not even consciously notice. But when you have those little things, it helps with the immersion
And
to the
then
game.
Grumpy Pants here says, I miss all music, Final Fantasy X and lower. I feel like the situation about that and the fact that he misses that is that there's so much taken into consideration, and I feel like you have embodied what you want other people to feel when they're playing your game, and you don't get that as much anymore with big developers. You just get like random soundtracks or like a basis of feeling, and I feel like you did an amazing job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So we've talked about music a little bit. I kind of want to jump into, can you talk about like the battle elements of the game and like what kind of strategies you used and why?
We didn't get
Right,
that far,
it's actually
but
not
yes,
please. It's not a very. I didn't do anything revolutionary in battle of sorts, but I like the battle system of Persona 4, Persona 3, and Octopath Traveler. So
yes.
you have
Octopath, yes, please.
Right. Yes. So in Octopath Traveler, the enemies, they have weaknesses.
Yes.
And they have shields. And when you hit them enough times, when you hit them with a weakness, their shields go down by 1 point.
Yeah.
And when their shield goes to 0, they get stunned. They take significantly more damage, and that's your chance to kill them, to deal the finishing blow. And if you don't do that, they regain their shields, and you have to break them all over again.
Yeah.
What Octopath Traveler didn't have, though, is players having shields, so enemies can't break you.
That's
so
super
what I did
true. Oh my gosh.
So,
Yeah.
right. So what I realized was, okay, in Lawmage Academy, I'm gonna give players shields, so that and certain items, certain equipment will give them weaknesses, or how they choose, their choices in the game will give them weaknesses. so they can think about what items to equip, how to mitigate their weaknesses, and they will really have to think about how to defend as well from threats.
Definitely.
Aside from just clicking guard, right? Because Octopath Traveler, you didn't have to worry about that. You just have to worry about attacking.
Yeah.
But here you gotta worry about, oh, I'm facing this element, so
Mm.
I should mitigate my risks. Maybe I
Yeah.
shouldn't take this party member because he's weak to fire, or maybe I should give him something that won't make him weak to fire, make him fire resistant. So I wanted that kind of element. So it's not really complicated. You still have to turn based. It's still a turn based game, but at the same time, I did something, tweaked it a little bit, so to make it a bit of a different experience. Early game, it's not gonna feel like that yet because you have to ease players into the mechanics. But later on, I'm gonna have boss fights that will test your knowledge, that will test your strategies
Mm.
into it, and then normal mobs that will test your strategies and your party composition.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. I got a couple more comments about that. The first one is turn based is revolutionary these days. Everything is action adventure. So I get that. Like, you don't get the same, like, element based fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, the right item at the right time, I feel is really important. Like, you need to make sure that you are enhancing yourself the right way. And I think that what you said about Octopath Traveler not having the same shields for your own people as you do about like the enemies is really important too, because I don't feel like I've played any games where you have like an element basis. Like, all of the enemies always have an element basis, but you as
yeah,
yourself typically don't. And
right.
so I think that that's amazing to just like put that in for the people who are actually playing the game, because that's just another thing you have to take into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's another aspect, another element. And
Yeah.
and another thing is that I forgot to mention is there are three types of weapons. So you have piercing weapons, blunt weapons, and slash weapons.
Yeah.
But your party members, they can't equip everything. They can only equip like two types per
Okay.
character. Though the player, you can equip all three because I want players to be adjustable, to be fully customizable.
Yeah.
But that also adds a bit of depth because you have to choose which friends you have to take in a particular situation. These friends specialize in these elements and these weapon types. So if you're going up against rock monsters, for example,
Yeah.
and slash might not be effective against rock monsters, blunt will be more effective against them. So it's a good idea to bring friends who can use blunt attacks, stabs, mace, hammers,
Mm.
to destroy rock monsters. I think little things like that, which again, it's nothing new, it's nothing revolutionary, but it adds a bit of more depth
Well,
into your
and
choices.
yeah, and see, I didn't get that far into it last night,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I recognized that that was put into place.
Mhm.
Like, I could tell that there were certain circumstances that were layered onto that, and I'm really excited about it because you just don't see that anymore. Like, I'm an OG Final Fantasy girl, and
you mentioned Suikoden
so
too.
and Suikoden,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Suikoden.
Suikoden, like the first one, like on
Right.
PS1, absolutely.
Yeah, PS1.
I don't see the mechanics that are the same in a lot of modern games. So for you to include that, as you're saying, with like Octopath Traveler, but like better, is absolutely amazing. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, and I have to
Thank you.
say, with all the elemental stuff, I grew up with Nintendo, and so
Yeah.
I think
Mm.
of Pokemon, and so
Yeah,
my
yeah, Pokemon.
yeah, like type advantage and everything is like my favorite
Right.
part, and it does kind of like you could fact check me on this, but it feels like type advantage, over the years with Pokemon, for example, kind of became less and less relevant.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to see, a game where you have to use those strategies and everything. Like, you're kind of bringing
Mm.
it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you're also, like, touching on so many different nerd communities. You're touching on, like, the Harry Potter nerds. You're touching on the Pokemon nerds. You're touching on, Final Fantasy. You're doing,
Yeah.
like, and it's like you're bringing all of these communities together. Um,
Mm.
I want to talk a little bit about your community too. I know you started a Discord and you're really building this community of like, what house are you in? Can you talk a little bit about your community and like your ideas behind that?
Yes, because
Um,
I got brought into Visage, so I'd like to know a lot more about the other ones too.
oh, okay. Well, as far as community building is concerned, my Discord is just there. Like, I'm not worried about membership count. It's just there for people who want to talk to other
Yeah.
players of Lawmage Academy. So I'm not really worried about it. But for community building, I started with when I started my Twitter last year. I joined Twitter last year,
Whoa.
about July, and I had like 100 followers. And my very first YouTuber, very first person to put a game in YouTube, it was a huge honor for me. I was so excited. And then the very first streamer played a game. He's our game gamer,
Yeah.
our a day gamer. And when he played it on stream, when we stream, streamers also sometimes watch, and
Yeah.
they liked it, and it just rolled down from there. There are people who are first person shooter streamers. First person
Yes.
shooter streamers, very, very
Yes.
different from RPG players. And then they streamed the game, and then they really liked it.
Yeah.
They even donated to the game. And that's not usually the games that they
Yeah.
play,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
surprised me
yeah.
so much.
You gotta
And
keep a wide base.
right, and I wasn't expecting them because I was, I knew that you can't please everyone with your game. You really have a specific audience, but I just never thought that FPS players would like this kind of game as well.
Well, I mean, like, specifically on my channel, the only games that I play are, like, dating simulators.
Oh,
So,
cool.
like, it literally has nothing to do. Like, RPGs are, like, my heart, but that's not what I stream. So,
Right,
you just
right.
have to, like, make sure that you're reaching out to everyone because I
That's
was
true.
more than happy to stream your game.
Oh, thank you. Well, as to the houses, so you got into Visage House. It's more of the temperance balance thing.
Yeah.
The other house is a Foxhelm. It's like Gryffindor,
Yeah.
courage,
Well,
and
Force
justice.
Faye, thanks for the
Uh,
follow.
Yeah, thanks, Little Force Faye.
Thank you for following. Solstice is for wisdom, intellect, and Drakewood is for loyalty and honor. And in the beginning, it asks you what are your virtues. But when you think about it, everyone has these virtues
Yeah,
to different degrees. But it's just like,
definitely.
what do you prefer? Where do
Yeah.
you resonate with? Which one resonates with you the most? So it's like a BuzzFeed quiz. Like when I
Hey, Forrest.
poke fun of it, it's like a BuzzFeed quiz, and then you get sorted into this house.
Yeah.
But and choosing these houses, they give different starting items. In Visage House, you get an apple, but if you choose other houses, you get coffee, you get tea, you get root beer, and then you have certain items that are exclusive to each houses, certain recruitable characters in the future. And
Yeah.
having these little things, having a different team, having different advantages,
Martha,
it helps
hey.
build that fun competitive spirit among fans. So some people will be Foxhelm evangelists, and other people will be like, "No, Visage is the best house," and it's a fun little banter.
Yeah.
Even in the Discord, even in Twitter, even with streamers watching fellow streamers, they're gonna say, "I hope you get into Foxhelm."
Sam Hip, thanks for the
Foxhelm is the
follow.
best house.
I do
So-
have a question for you from somebody in the chat. How in depth is the relationship system within your party?
Right. So in Persona 4, at first it's gonna be like friendship, very platonic, but
Yeah.
at some point you will have a choice to
Oh.
romance them as demanded.
Thank
But it's not-
goodness.
Due to popular demand.
That's good for me.
Yeah, in some way. But the dating mechanic is not the focus.
No,
but
no,
it's
no,
more
no.
like developing friendship. Although at some point you will have a choice.
Yes.
Like who will you pick for this romantic thing
Yeah.
or intimate event? But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil it. But,
Oh,
you have
thank
to-
you. Thank you for not, because I'm gonna play it.
It's not implemented in the demo yet, but it is planned.
We'll get there.
later on.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll get
Get
there.
there.
So, speaking of relationships and everything, do you have a favorite NPC or like a favorite character?
Oh no. Okay, well, my favorite NPC would be the battle teacher, Lawmage Zelka. I don't think you got there yet though,
Not
Emerald. But
yet,
you
no.
that was the next class in line in your
Mm.
playthrough.
Oh, okay.
Lawmage Zelka, because she's super
Zelka.
strict and she reminds me of my law school professors. That's how they, more or
Oh.
less, that's how they treat
So
students.
you
Like,
have a crush on your law school professor, is what you're
not really
saying?
crush, not really crush, but it's just
Okay.
interesting to have this character in the game because people
Yeah.
really felt what I felt when I was in law school, what people felt when they were in law school. It's so brutal,
Hmm.
so merciless. Like either you
Oh,
pass or
I
you
bet.
fail,
Yeah.
and no excuses. If you fail, then you fail. And it's interesting to have that sort of mechanic in the game because a lot of games they're very forgiving and even TV shows like you go to a teacher, you report, and the teacher will take action. Usually, that's what we expect. But in life, that's not what necessarily happens in life. Sometimes you report stuff and they get away with it, and you're actually punished for reporting them,
Oh,
Mm.
right?
definitely.
And
Definitely. Definitely. That's,
and
I think,
and
universal. Yeah.
right,
It's
and
no
it's something
good.
that happens even in Philippine politics. I draw inspiration from Philippine politics as well. How life can be so unfair sometimes, and morality isn't black and white.
Yeah.
It's more not. It's gray, and sometimes you can't really judge other people for taking these choices because when you look at their context, their backgrounds, they were led to these choices. They were practically forced to these choices because of their circumstances.
Yeah, I
And
mean, the
even
fact that
without
you're
those,
able to incorporate all of that into your game is absolutely amazing. Like all of your feelings about that. They're so
right.
diverse, they're
Mm.
so complicated, they are so deep. The fact that you're able to put that into your game is phenomenal.
Yeah.
and and to be able to put those things in the game, you need to have characters who who are like that, who are assholes. So you need to
Yeah.
have characters
Yeah.
Right.
who
Yeah.
don't care, you know. And
Yeah.
Lamy Joka is, in a way, one dimension of her
Mm.
is that kind of character.
Okay.
That's why she's my favorite.
Good
Yeah.
to know.
Before we go any further, for those of you who have just joined us, I am Puppet Master N, and the founder and creator of Game Raven, and I have here with me our one of our writers and amazing streamers, Emeraldraes, and we are interviewing Verinius, who is the solo developer of Lawmage Academy, and I'll link their game in the chat very shortly here. So yeah, and we're very excited because this is one of our first. This is our first interview with a dev, and this is going to become a regular on our channel here at Game Raven.
Hey,
So
Taz.
hey Taz.
So excited for you guys.
Yes, and in chat, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask Verinius, go ahead. We have a couple more questions on our docket, but then we'll kind of open it up to Q&A to you guys. So
Yeah. Thank
um,
you.
Okay.
speaking of being a solo dev, what are some challenges that you face, as a solo developer?
Well, first of all, you have to solve problems on your more often than not. You have to solve problems on your own.
Mhm.
You have to look for solutions and look for people to ask on your own, and of course the time constraints. If you're doing everything by yourself, you can't delegate tasks. You have
Yeah.
to schedule them. Like this month I'm going to focus on art, this month I'm going to focus on testing the game,
Yeah.
this month I'm going to focus on adding features and then testing those features. So
Yeah.
it's really time management first and foremost. Secondly, it's budget. I save up for this. I save up for this and I spend personal money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too much. I'm not paying myself for it, but most game projects, um, in the budget, your salary is included. That's why video games cost a lot
Hmm.
because developers, especially senior developers, they cost a lot of money. You need to pay them a lot of money. But if you're an indie developer, you just pay for the assets, you pay for musicians, commissions,
Yeah. I
which I can
mean,
save up for.
that's why we're here. We want to help you with that. We want to get the word
Thank
out. We
you.
want to help you like get sales. We want to make sure
Right,
that
right,
the inspiration and the time that you've put into this is going to be worth it because as
right.
like everything that I've seen has been phenomenal and there's no way that you shouldn't get back what you put into it.
Right. And here's the thing. I was computing it earlier. I was thinking about it. Like, of course, starting. This is my very first game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people usually say, like, don't sell your first game. Don't expect too much. But then I computed my expenses, and I spent like about $1,000 so far,
Hmm.
which is not a lot. It's very very low for a video game. And I thought like if I sell this many copies, already make a profit. If I sell 1,000
Yeah.
copies, I'll already make a profit, and no
Yeah.
problem. Like
That's
I,
not
I had
even that
fun, I spent
many
time,
either.
right?
Like, you
Mhm.
got this.
Yeah.
And then, but then people would always encourage me, like, 1,000 copies, that's nothing. I think you'll
It's
sell
not.
10,000 copies
Yeah, you will.
minimum.
Yeah.
And hearing those things as a first-time developer, it encourages me and it shocks me. Like, you believe in my game this much? Are you for real? And for me, of course,
You are
I don't
putting
know
out
which ones.
quality work
Mhm.
for sure.
Thank you. Right. And I don't know, it's just nice to hear these kinds of words of encouragement because
Yeah.
it affirms what I'm doing. And it's not really about the money. Of course, money, it's nice to have to profit from this so I can keep making games. But but just to know that I'm giving people an experience, because that is what game development is. You're crafting an experience,
Yeah.
giving them an experience that I want to give them. And them, for a free demo, they're giving in money. Like, some people would sometimes donate $60,
Mm.
and $60 is
That's
the price of a AAA
amazing.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AAA game, and they're giving $60 to a
Yeah.
demo of an indie game. It's not even
Yeah.
finished, and it blows my mind. Like, thank you so much for thank you so much for donating this much. It means that you believe that this
Yeah.
is worth this much,
So the
Mhm.
more time
worth
that
like
you
a
can put
AAA game.
into it.
Mhm.
Right, right, and to pay artists, pay
Yeah.
musicians,
Mhm.
Yeah.
support them as well, because I want to support them. I want to see their careers grow.
I mean,
And as a side note, actually,
if you
yeah,
want musicians, just like let us know.
right,
Yeah.
right,
We
don't-
have a couple of
and
those
awesome,
in our
awesome. And
atmosphere.
actually, a few composers that I worked with, they started out, they gave me a free track, and then later on, I don't know if you know Ruby, RWBY, the online show, and then they started
No.
composing for this TV show,
Mm.
online web show, and then they started getting contracts for bigger projects. They can't disclose it, of course, but you just know it's a big project. They would say
Mhm.
like, "Oh, it's a big space opera saga," and how many space opera franchises are there really?
Right?
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then I was shocked to hear them because, bro, we're just two small time indie. I'm an indie game, and then you're a new composer, and then how you're working on this project. That's so amazing, and
Yeah.
I'm honored to have worked with you, and I love seeing people grow as well out of
So
the
are
experience.
we. So are we, definitely. I have a question from our chat, which is, what was the hardest
Mhm.
part about developing the game?
It's staying motivated.
Yeah, I bet.
The daily grind. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
like, a lot of people, they start projects, and it's really great. It's really good. Later on, they just don't finish
I feel that.
because they don't feel motivated. They got
Yeah,
discouraged. They don't have the money. They don't have the time.
Mm.
All perfectly understandable, but it's really just staying committed and staying disciplined. Every day it's a struggle.
yeah,
Sometimes some days it's easier because, for example, when people like you tell me that you like the game, it makes it easier for me to work
yeah,
for the next week or
definitely.
so. But when your game's not getting attention, and where people says negative feedback, and negative feedback
It's
is part of
hard.
it. Criticism is part of it. As a developer, you just have to suck it up and learn how
Yeah,
to deal with it.
yeah,
um, I mean, you can't please everyone, right? But those parts, it's a little bit harder. But staying motivated, like, I could be watching Netflix right now. I could be playing this game, but I committed to working on my game 1 hour every day. So
Mm.
staying motivated, staying
yeah.
committed, that's a struggle. That's a struggle, really. And just finishing your project, that's the
Yeah.
hardest part. But if
Yeah.
you're talking about specific things, I would say it's pixel art. I had to learn art from the beginning. Oh my god, I spent
It's
one
so
year.
impressive.
I,
It's so good. Like, even in my stream last night, Puppet Master was like, "Hey, who does your art?" And you were like, "Hey, I did it."
Yeah, the
It's
pixel art
so
amazing.
good.
the pixel. Well,
So
most of the
good.
tile sets,
Yeah.
the chairs, the tables, those are from an asset pack. But the characters, the battle characters, I had to learn. I had to take one year to learn, and you know how hard art is. how hard it is to learn,
Yeah,
trial and error, getting
definitely.
feedback. That was the hardest part. There are many times I wanted to tear my hair off because it was so difficult, but I didn't give up. I slept through it, worked on it another day, and just kept improving until I reached that level,
You did
an acceptable
amazing.
level for me.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
We have another question in the chat, and we kind of went over a little bit of this, but I like this.
Sure.
Do you remember the day you were struck with the inspiration to start developing the game? Like, do you remember the first time, the first twinkle in your eye that you had for this game?
Yeah, when RPG Maker MV went on sale, actually for free during the weekend, and I tried it out. For the longest time, I already had an idea in my head for a story, but I didn't want to write a novel, and I
Wow.
didn't have the artistic skills to draw a comic book or a manga. But then I tried RPG Maker, and then it was so easy to use,
Yeah.
and that's where it clicked. I'm gonna use this medium to convey this story, to convey this message,
Yeah.
and I told myself, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to set aside 1 hour every day, just 1 hour.
That's all
If I
you
go
need.
any more than 1 hour per day, that's great. If I just do work on 1 hour, that's good. I kept my commitment. So just 1 hour every day, and it adds up throughout 1 year. It adds up, and then next thing I know, I have a demo ready, and I was amazed by how far it reached. You know how far I've come. So, but that was the first moment when it went for free, and I tried it out. And that's life, isn't it? Like you never know what are the things you're gonna like up until you try it out and you like it and you enjoy it, you have fun. It's really just a trial and error for everyone, I
Definitely.
think.
And I mean, like I was saying, like I played through this game last night and I was so thoroughly impressed. Like, this is something that came from your mind. This is something that came from your heart. Like, you're just creating this on your own. And everything about it was absolutely phenomenal. Like, when your friend jumped in the chat and was saying that you're a lazy dev, and Em and I both got offended because we were like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, how can you say that? How can you say that anything
Right.
about this is lazy? Like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I can go up to any
Right.
object and press Z, and there's something that goes along with it. Like, you really put the detail into the game, and I'm so excited to play the full release. Like, I'm gonna
Thank you.
stream that for you, like the whole freaking thing.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
So good.
Awesome.
I'll be
So
there.
exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it.
Well, do you have anything else you want to tell us about the game or anything you want to leave us with?
Well, just the public demo release will be on the first week of November.
Yeah.
So if you're interested and you want to try it out, and I highly encourage you to do. Watching someone play it is very different from you playing it yourself. So I highly encourage you to
100%,
try it
yeah.
out. You explore and leave some feedback if you want. I highly encourage you to leave some feedback in the Google form, in the itch page, or in the
Yeah.
Discord. It's highly appreciated. But that's it. I don't want to spoil anything more.
Yeah.
You have to experience it for yourself.
Okay.
and confirm whether or not Emerald is telling the truth. That it's a good game. You
Right.
confirm it. Don't take her word for it. Just try it out and
Try
see for
it out.
yourself.
I'm just a big liar. It's fine. Next time.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much
Yeah, thank
for
you.
being here with
Thank
us.
you so much for having me.
Yeah.